OG Lee in the house once again, once again. Thank goodness, thank goodness. So I'm gonna follow up today because I just heard about an hour ago that Amber Guyger, the police officer who killed Botham John, I was calling him Gene, but I got to put that John on it. Guess it's got some French or something there. So Botham John, she killed the boy, right? In the apartment, you know the deal. Got off on the wrong floor, went into the wrong apartment, and all, you know all of the cockamamie stories she had. But anyway, they convicted her. Convicted Guyger, Amber Guyger, Dallas police officer. Wow, they got her. You know, it would have been interesting if this didn't end in a conviction, because this was such a cockamamie story. I mean, goodness. So she was put on the stand, and if you saw it, you know, her attorney did that, you know, purposely, thinking that she could sway the jury somehow. And you talking about a bad look. Man, that shit was so unconvincing, it's unbelievable. But anyway, she's convicted now. And so now we await sentencing. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, well, if she's convicted, you've got jurors, 12 of them, that don't believe her and have convicted her. What do they believe? They don't believe that apparently she got off on the wrong floor, went into the wrong apartment, thought he was a burglar and killed him. So we don't know all the evidence, but from the evidence that was presented that they know about, they said we're not buying it, basically. And it was a unanimous decision. So they apparently agreed for the most part in unison. So now it makes me question, because you know, if you saw my last video, I said it was jungle fever, you know, that brought her there in some kind of retaliatory way. But so since I did the last video, I learned that the guy who she called first, her boyfriend, she's in an affair with, and that really is. It is what it is. That's not, you know, people have affairs. But what I thought was interesting about that was that he was Hispanic. With the boyfriend that she's playing around with being Hispanic, Botham John being black, it starts reinforcing my theory of jungle fever. I don't care what anybody says. You don't just go in somebody's apartment and execute them because you love them. You know, she was rejected. She's a scorned lover. But anyway, I'm glad that happened, and it's going to be real important to see how they sentence her. Because if you're tried and convicted of murder, you should be sentenced accordingly, regardless if you're a police officer or not. And so to me, I think, and I don't always want to accentuate race, but that's where we are in this country, and that's the climate that we're in. We know how we've had all of these senseless, at least I see them as senseless killings from police officers directed at usually black males. And so most of them have been thrown out basically, and the officers have been exonerated. But in this case, I mean, it was a victory. And I have to say it was a victory for black Americans, because we have been so used to just basically throwing our hands up and saying, hey, you know, they're not going to convict them. They're not going to, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how ludicrous the situation seems, the circumstances seem, they don't convict the police officers. In this case, thank goodness, she was off duty and had a cockamamie story to boot, and they got her this time. I tell you what's going to be interesting is how many cases now the DA will have to look at and possibly drop, because she doesn't make a good witness anymore. As a matter of fact, she may not even be available to be a witness because she's going to jail. I guess they have to take away, if they've already did, her passport and what have you. I didn't hear anything to know if she's going to be able to be out still free on bail. As a matter of fact, I would say that she is going to be in such mental turmoil now, realizing what her fate is, that she's liable, man, to go anywhere, anytime. I would put her in prison in jail, with a bail of maybe $1 million or more. She most definitely is a flight risk, big time. You cannot egregiously kill black people and expect that a jury is going to exonerate you of those charges when you're charged. So I hope that this begins to send a message, because it's very important that if we want to break this racist spell that we have in America, it has to start somewhere, and it has to start by showing justice to all people, not just white people. And so I'm grateful that they've got her. I hope that she does a lot of time in prison, and obviously she'll have to do some kind of interstate transfer, because she certainly can't go to prison in Texas, right? So they'll have to send her somewhere else. She does at least 20 years, hopefully, and with her, we got to look at the truth in sentencing, right? Because at state, you get good time and all this stuff. She's liable to get a 20-year sentence and do 5 years or something. So you have to watch her, and if they've got those kinds of parameters, we have to make sure that she does, the fullness, damn near, of her sentence. Because that is what justice is. Meting out justice means someone doing an appropriate length of punishment for their crime. But anyway, this is an ecstatic OG Lee, and I'll see you again soon.